Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we talk about all things Disney, but we're Epcot-centered.
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in our rankings and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when our only Disney bucket list was to go to Epcot for the first time.
This is episode 81, a Disney bucket list.
Or, if you're a Disney adult, you know you have a list. Let's compare.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 81 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And this is a fun one. This is going to be very near and dear to our hearts. Matter of fact, we talked about what to call this episode. Is this a Disney bucket list? The Disney bucket list? Our Disney bucket list?
Your Disney bucket list.
What we're hoping to do is inspire you to have your Disney bucket list. So these are things that we've kind of put on the back burner for years for, well, mostly because they cost a lot of money.
Right.
But, you know, there's things that we wish would happen to us even in some cases.
Yeah. So if you are unfamiliar with the term bucket list for whatever reason, it is just a list of things that you hope to do before you kick the bucket. So, which in America, if you're listening in an outside country, in America, that means to pass away. So, things to do.
Yeah.
So things that you want to do, and these are specifically Disney, of course, because that's kind of what we do. So Rod and I have both compiled our own lists. We're not ranking these. We're not comparing lists necessarily. We're just sort of throwing things out there that we hope might inspire you to create your own bucket list, things that you want to accomplish in the Disneyverse that you might want to do. And some of these are extremely attainable. We just haven't done them because of time or money or whatever. Some of them are a little more far-fetched. And a couple of them, I don't even know if they're things. So.
Some of them are going to be way out there as far as there's no way that's ever going to happen, but maybe, you never know. Well, let's take a look at our bucket list. Now, like Sue said, these are individual lists, but a lot of what we're going to have today is joint stuff that we've talked about for years between the two of us. So there's a lot of crossover on here as well, of course.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about each of these as we go through, and maybe we'll actually get to do some of these someday. I don't know. We'll see.
A couple of them are even out of my control. Like some of the things on my list, I would not be able to fully do on my own.
Well, that's true.
There would have to be intervention somewhere. So, just going to throw it out there anyway.
Well, let's take a look. Why don't you start?
I will start, and I'm going to start with one that I think is probably on every Disney adult's bucket list, and that is to go to every castle park.
Oh, yeah.
So every park worldwide. So Rod and I have been to Disneyland, Disney World, Tokyo, and Paris. Mm-hmm. So we're missing Shanghai and Hong Kong. Stay tuned for an interview with our friend Andy, who is about to accomplish this widely known Disney bucket list item. So we will do an interview with him. Hey, Andy, we're going to interview when we get back.
Yeah. So. Surprise.
But that's one of those things that I think most Disney adults aspire to. And it is attainable. It's just not cheap. So, no. And time-wise, it's hard to plan time to get all the way to the other side of the world. But one of these days, we will achieve this goal.
Well, I think as a Disney adult, it's easier, too, because you have more travel options than you do as if you have kids.
That is true. That is very true.
Well, one of those on my bucket list that kind of goes along with that is Adventures by Disney. This is something that has been around now for, I think, going on about 20 years. A gentleman I used to work with back in 2005 interviewed and got accepted to Adventures by Disney. So just doing some quick math. 20 years of Adventures by Disney, and yeah, I haven't done any Adventures by Disney yet, neither has Sue. Wait, have you?
I have not. I think you would know.
I don't know. Where'd you go on that convention that one time?
That's a different
story. Came back with snow on your boots?
That's fine.
Anyway, my thought for Adventures by Disney is Norway. We have some routes that go back to Finland and the Nordic countries. I think it would be really fun to go and see that part of the world, and what better way to do it than with Adventures by Disney? Having a cast member show you the fjords and show you the small towns and the local customs. And oh heavens, that is high on my list.
If you're not familiar with Adventures by Disney, like Rod said, you are shown around the area that you choose in a small group. Some of them are adults only. Some of them include children. And you get to do a lot of local culture, a lot of local sightseeing, but you get to do it in a very Disneyfied way. So you're seeing exclusive behind the scenes things that you aren't going to get to do elsewhere. And they also include things that would be inspired by some of the films you might see. So in the Norway one, you get to do a special thing that would be inspired by something from Frozen. One of my bucket list ones for Adventures by Disney would be to do Scotland. And there you get to stay in a castle, and they do a special archery training with you, inspired by Merida from Brave.
And a whiskey tasting.
And whiskey tasting.
Oh, yes, please.
So that's for the adults. But they are Disneyfied in that way. But you're getting, because it is led by Disney, you're getting the ultimate in first class travel. You are taken care of and pampered, and no question is stupid, and no request is gone unseen, and you are getting very, very good care as you're going through these countries, which would be a really fun way to see a very specific place. The other one on my list would be Iceland. I want to do Iceland anyway, but to do it with Adventures by Disney would be really, really special. So these are on our lists still, and unattained because of pricing.
Yeah, they're not cheap, folks.
No. So I did write down a couple of these. Of course, pricing changes, so if you're planning on doing them, you'll want to look this up. The average cost is $65.99 for each adult.
That's not $65.99. That's $6,599.
And that's the average.
Wow.
So the least expensive one is Barcelona Getaway. So you're going to Spain basically for a weekend. So it is $25.99, and that is 4 days and 3 nights.
Per adult.
Per adult.
Yeah.
The most expensive one is one that they actually recently added just a couple of years ago, and it is the Disney parks around the world. It is a private jet tour where you get to see all the gates. So it goes on the back of what we were just talking about.
And this is on my bucket list.
It is.
The list of bucket lists. Yeah, this is on there.
And it is $114,995 per adult. That is for 24 days and 23 nights. So that you're gone for a month. Hope you've got some PTO. And $115,000. So,
but that way you can go see all the castle parks, like we just said. So,
that is true.
You
can scratch 2 things off your bucket list at once. So yeah, there's a wide range. The Norway one Rod wanted to do is $65.99 for adults, and that's 8 days and 7 nights. Scotland is $74.99, 8 days, 7 nights. Iceland, 8 days, 7 nights is $84.99. So they do range quite a bit in pricing. There's also American-based ones. You can do a Dude Ranch in Wyoming. They have Hawaii. You can do Aulani. So there's other ones that you can do, as well as the American theme parks too. So
yeah, taxes and gratuity are not included, and transportation to the starting point is also not included in that price.
That is correct.
Just note that if you are doing ones in Europe, you have to get your butt to Europe first, then Adventures by Disney picks up from there. So just so you know.
I'm sure if you're working with a Disney travel agent, they can hook you up with some good airfare, though.
Oh, definitely, yes.
All right.
Well,
I'm going to just piggyback on the back of that, and I would like to do all of the Disney Cruise Line ships.
Oh, yeah. And very shortly, there'll be 13 of those.
Yeah, within the next couple of years, they're going to more than double.
2031, I believe, is their target date to have 13 in the fleet. And since we've only been on one,
yeah, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But again, we haven't done more of them because we are priced out so often. You can do 2 NCL cruises for the price of a Disney cruise sometimes. So it really depends on just the pricing.
And a good jumping off point for one of the ones on my list is the Disney Cruise Line to Alaska.
Oh, yes.
This has been on the bucket list for a long time to go to Alaska, and our family was able to do that last October on NCL, not DCL. We did Norwegian to get to Alaska, and it was fantastic. But seeing Mickey and Minnie in their cute little costumes,
so cute.
I mean, come on, that's on every Disney adult's bucket list. Pricing. Pricing is the big drawback on this one. The average pricing per adult is a little over $6,000 for a 1-week trip.
Ooh.
And that is the shortest trip that they do because Alaska takes so long to get to and back from. So if you're talking a family of 4, you're looking somewhere in the $15,000 range and up, depending on when you want to go.
And what kind of room you want to get.
Yeah, exactly.
Any excursions and...
Yeah, if you're okay with an inside room, and here, tip, if you're going to Alaska, you're not okay with an inside room.
Don't do it.
Get a balcony. Get a balcony. You will hate yourself without a balcony in Alaska. But yeah, that's on my list, and we just got to watch Molly and Alan and Max on Mammoth Club do that, and that's what inspired this, but wow, that's expensive.
But they did it right, because each of them took one of the character costumes and copied it and got the photo. That's like beyond bucket list.
Yeah.
So they did it right.
I think my bucket list would be take the cruise with them. That
there
would be
we go.
Really cool.
There's the bucket list. I'm going to go on another one that is very attainable, but just we always get priced out. So I would like to stay at an Animal Kingdom Lodge Savannah View. Again, very attainable. It's always there. It's always available. Well, not always available, but they do exist. But I looked up pricing as if we were to stay tonight, just to see what an average, we are in September of 2024. And right now, the cost would be $637 a night, which is just a lot of money for a hotel room.
For Disney World hotel pricing, that's actually not horrible.
Which itself is horrible.
But the Animal Kingdom Lodge is a deluxe resort and is therefore one of the more expensive ones, but it does have DVC property with Savannah View as well, so you can always rent points through one of the rental companies that is out there to get that price down.
That's true.
If you go on a Wednesday in January, for instance, without a Savannah View, those rack rates start at about $450 a night. And there are a lot of times of the year where Disney is giving discounts to those rooms. So that room rate is going to be all over the place depending on when you want to go and the type of view that you're looking for.
Right. And Animal Kingdom is in itself one of those bucket list hotels for me. It's just so, so beautiful. The architecture is incredible. The whole vibe in there is just immaculate. It's so good. And then to have the animals on top of that right there is pretty amazing. So that is definitely way up on my bucket list.
In that same vein, Hawaii and the Aulani.
Yes.
This is on my bucket list. This is one Sue and I have talked about for now, oh heavens.
Since it opened.
Since it opened. We have some friends from Disneyland that have been threatening to take us out there someday, and we're hoping that actually happens. So if you're listening,
it'll happen.
We still want to go. However, those room rates are way up there as well most of the year. Hawaii doesn't have an off season. So,
right. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to quote those rates because they are so variable. If you have DVC points, though, that's the place that you would want to use those points for. Or again, rental points is a really good way to do that one and get it off your bucket list.
And I'm going to go out even a step further and say if any of the deluxe resorts are on your bucket list, that's the way to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The couple that I know of are Dave's and DVC Rental Store. Those are both very good ones for renting points.
All right. I am going to do another one that, again, is very, very attainable. This is Epcot centered, of course. We're moving into Epcot, and I would very much like to do dinner for a special occasion at Takumite.
Okay, you're reading my list word for word. I can see. So this is what I meant, that we were going to have a lot of crossover.
For sure.
Because this is on my list for next as well. And I
bet it's on a list for a lot of Disney adults, though.
Oh, yeah. I think and Epcotians, especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think we're preaching to the choir on some of these.
Very true.
But yeah, Takumite, if you're not familiar, it is a new restaurant that is open in the Japan Pavilion at Epcot. It is roughly a 3-hour experience. They do not allow children under the age of 8.
Which is another good reason to go. Just saying.
There's lots of reasons. But it's a multi-course meal. It is sort of a preset experience. There's not a lot of choices involved. They're serving you the best of the best of the best in a beautiful setting. They have different settings based on the elements, so you don't know which one you're going to be seated in, but they are all gorgeous. This is very pricey. Again, it's about a 3-hour experience that you're getting, and it's $250 for adults, or $150 if you are plant-based. It's $100 for children ages 8 to 12.
Yeah, this is one of those ones, though, that if you are taking a kid, make sure that they are adventurous eaters. Because
for sure.
they do not have chicky nuggies here for your kids.
Right. Or for you. So
Right. If you're a meat and taters person, don't do this.
This is probably not your vibe, but this is definitely our vibe, and I would absolutely love to do this one day. I think we probably will someday. It's a matter of having the vacation bandwidth to be able to spend 3 hours in a restaurant in a theme park when you're there for a short amount of time, and a special enough occasion that you want to spend $250 for one person to eat dinner.
Yeah, this menu does change seasonally as well, depending on what's available that season. I can't say enough how much this one is on my bucket list because it is so attainable. It's right there at Epcot. It's not something you have to plan 15 years in advance to afford. It's something that could be done by anybody. And if you've been, please let us know your experience. We'd love to know.
Absolutely. And we both just love Japanese food. We love the Japanese culture. It's just one of those things. I think a lot of people probably put Victoria and Albert's on their list, and that one is not on my list. I will just, spoiler alert now, that one did not make it, but I think a lot of people would do that one in place of Tsukumite, but it's just my own experience.
My next two kind of go together in that they're attractions based. These are a little different type of a bucket list for me. These are things that even as a cast member have never happened that I would love to have happen. And the first one is getting evacuated from Tower of Terror. I think that would be in the drop shaft and have to get elevator down, bring down the elevator to a certain location, and then get out and walk down the stairs and see all the backstage area. And my friend Brian works out at Tower of Terror at California Adventure. Hi, Brian. And yeah, that's one thing I never got a chance to do when we both worked there at the same time. And I'm a little jealous because that's one of those attractions I would love to see the inside of.
That's awesome. I actually have an evac on mine as well. One of those that, again, is out of our control, but I would love to be evacuated from particularly the top, but anywhere in Spaceship Earth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Yes.
That is for sure on my list.
I've been lucky enough to go inside the Matterhorn at Disneyland when I worked over there. I was on the west side, and that's considered Fantasyland East side, but I had some friends that worked it, and so I got to see the inside of the Matterhorn. So that is one thing I've checked off the bucket list.
Including the basketball court.
I did. I got to shoot a half-court basket from inside the Matterhorn.
I'm going to say you did not shoot a basket.
I bounced it off the rim a few times. I threw it up there until it finally went in. So
there you go.
I actually did shoot a basket. But my other one that's in that similar kind of vein is actually very attainable. And this is to go on Millennium Falcon with 5 other people I know and do the Chewie mode. You have to press the buttons in the right order and do the right things, and all of the voiceover, instead of Hondo, it becomes Chewie. And I want to do this so bad.
That would be so much fun. We'd have to do our research first and get all the little moves down that you have to do. You have to do it before anything is pressed. You have to do all the stuff in the right order at the right times, and you have to do it in a certain amount of time to activate that mode, but oh man, I want to do that. If
you ask the cast member nicely, they might show you how to do it. If they're staying in character, they're probably going to go, I don't know what you're talking about.
But you can Google it.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I wonder if that mode is going to stay active when they do the Mandalorian overlay.
Oh, maybe they'll do a Grogu overlay.
Oh my gosh.
Voiceover. Just that would be fun. Oh my gosh. Or just a Mando overlay.
Great job, kid.
Yeah.
Even that would be, oh my gosh, that would be fun.
That would be
I hope
cool.
They record that. That would be fantastic.
We'll find out. So another one that, again, is completely out of my control. I would love to do a Cinderella suite stay.
Oh, wow, yes. That's on everybody's bucket list. It
exactly.
has to be.
So once they revealed that top of the castle was going to become basically a hotel suite, everyone wanted in. And you cannot buy your way into this. Even if you're a celebrity and you have all the money under the sun, you cannot buy your way into this. It has to be either won through a contest or you have to be invited to stay.
Actually staying inside one of the Disney castles overnight like that's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. Well, there's another one that I think we've all talked about. Matter of fact, we have an entire episode on this, episode 33.
Oh, yes.
Where we talked about Club 33 and last year's D23. Okay, I'll admit it. Club 33 is still on my bucket list. I have been inside when I was doing guest control as a lead for Fantasmic back in the 90s. A nice gentleman named Lee took me in, and he was a bartender there and gave me a tour. So I've been inside Club 33 at Disneyland, but I'd really like to see the new one at Epcot and at Magic Kingdom and in every other place there is one, because yeah, and to actually have a meal there, I think it's on everybody's bucket list. It's a Disney adult, but
true.
It's
Very
not
true.
exactly inexpensive.
The one at Disneyland's the only one I looked up pricing for, because this is also on my list. And for Disneyland, it is $35,000 to join plus $15,000 as an annual fee, and then you pay, if you're going in for lunch, you still pay for lunch. Like, it doesn't get you free food or anything.
Yeah, I wish. But, no.
But membership is extremely limited. They have been known to have hundreds of applications and only admit one person in a year. They keep it very, very small just so it doesn't get overrun. It has to remain being a special thing. So if everybody could get in, no one would want to get in.
The velvet rope principle.
But I would settle for even just going to lunch. And you do have to be invited by a member. You can't just go up for lunch. Runs from $95 up for a buffet lunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost as expensive as eating inside the royal table. So, yeah.
Less characters, though.
Oh, a good point, yeah.
But yeah, that is definitely, I think that's probably a good one for everybody's bucket list.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you've already been. If you have, let us know. I'd love to know. Another one on mine is, and again, completely out of my control. I don't even think this is a thing. I don't think it's a real thing, but it should be a thing. And I want them to, okay, Disney, are you listening? Because I want them to do this as a tour. And I want to be part of the Disney Test Kitchen.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
Seasonally, but I would do it anytime. But to get to help develop or choose what snacks are going into the park would be such a dream come true. We live for Disney snacks. I mean, who doesn't? But particularly for an Epcot festival, can you imagine how cool that would be to get to help develop some of those flavors in those small plates?
Or to even have just an interview with the people that do that.
Yes, but I want to taste things.
Well, yeah. Well, no, that's what I mean. Do like like you said, a tour.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be so neat?
Amazing. Wow.
Just to get to tour the facilities where they do this, and then maybe just even at the end to get to sample a couple things and put in your input, give them your feedback. I just think that would be so cool, particularly, like I said, for the Epcot festivals or for anything fall or seasonal. I love fall and winter flavors, so that would be so amazing.
Well, since we're talking about doing a trip to Festival of the Arts this coming winter, one of the things that Sue and I have talked about doing that's been on our bucket list for a long time is the Keys to the Kingdom tour at Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
It's a morning tour. It runs several hours and includes lunch and starts at about $129 per person. It's a walking tour, and it gets you onto several attractions even without having to wait in a longer queue. It's your own private lightning lane and tour guide for the 4 or 5 hours that it runs. The best part, though, is it gives you a look behind the scenes through the Utilidors, which I have seen since I was a cast member at Magic Kingdom, but it also gets you the stories that go along with what Walt wanted Walt Disney World to be and where Roy made it to be and what it's become. And it's just one of those tours that's always been in the back of our minds collectively to go do. And I think this year may be the year if we can get the scheduled times down. It's hard to get those because they sell out really quick.
They do. What the tour also gets you that is sort of unadvertised is you get a clear view of Main Street and the castle because you're in before the park opens.
Oh, right.
And that in itself is next to priceless.
That's if you get the earliest tour.
Yes.
Because they do have tours that do start after park open.
Very good
Because
point.
I did check into that, and there are tours that start as early as about 7:30, but then they have tours that start like at 9:30 as well, depending on time of year.
True. Yeah. And I would definitely do that first tour just so you can get those camera shots because, oh my gosh, that would be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But we should mention also that price of the tour, even though the tour takes place inside the Magic Kingdom, it does not include your park admission for the day.
Very, very good point. Yeah, that's not a cheaper way to get into the Magic Kingdom. That's
right.
On top of your daily pass.
Which is strange, but because you have to be in the park anyway. And I don't know. It's weird.
Well, because people will already have purchased tickets that are park hoppers for the day.
Or they have annual passes.
Right.
Or, that's true. That's
or
a very
cast
good
member
point.
tickets or whatever, yeah.
Good point. My very last one, again, completely out of my control, probably never ever going to happen, but it's Disney adjacent enough that I want to say I would love to one day meet Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And, nobody's getting any younger here. It would have to be very soon, but I just think that would be the ultimate I think doing our Sherman Brothers thing and hearing the Sherman Brothers sons speak so fondly of their memories of their fathers and just realizing how much Disney history is passing away. Disney history is just leaving generation by generation, and they are like the king and queen of Disney in my mind anyway. So I would absolutely love to get to meet those two royal Disney members.
Well, if you get to, I get to then too.
That's fair.
That's now on my list as well, because I hadn't even thought of that, and that's fantastic. Well, folks, that's our Disney bucket list. What would you have on your Disney bucket list? Have you done any of the things we've talked about? We'd love to know. Let us know your experiences. Put them down in the comments.
Or let us know what you would most like to do. What did we not think of?
Yeah, everybody's different. That's why this was not going to be called our Disney bucket list. We want to hear what your Disney bucket list is too. Maybe this inspired you to go look at some stuff and make some of those experiences a reality.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Oh, very nice. They should put that into an attraction.
Hey, I just made that
a
up.
Song by the Sherman Brothers. Before we go, we'd like to give a big thank you to our theme music composer, Jason Patrick Rowan, whose music is licensed through Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, share, and subscribe. It really does help other people find us. You can find us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production and a proud gold member of D23. Thanks for joining us today for episode 81 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you live.
Bye. Say it again. Put it in the comments, why don't you?
Put it in the comments, why don't you? I'll just stand over here and die.